Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sunrise Extra.
It's more.
Leaning back.
Lean back.
Lean in.
Okay, let's get awkward. Let's get tense. Because it's Thanksgiving time, people. So,
What's
you
awkward?
don't have to talk about the presidential election this year, but you are, maybe, talking about vaccination status. We want to know, as kind of Thanksgiving Day gets closer and everyone's making their plans, Drew just found out he's hosting Thanksgiving.
Hosting the event.
Right.
Wow.
Surprise, surprise to him.
Host.
Luckily, other people are taking care of the plans. But we did ask this poll on our Twitter page. Are you discussing everyone's vaccination status before holiday get-togethers? And I mean, the numbers have barely moved today.
Yeah.
It's almost exactly split 50-50.
We see the votes are adding up. I mean, every time I look at the poll, we have more votes, but it just keeps getting split down the middle, 50-50, like you said.
Yeah, so...
You know, maybe another way to ask the question is, as far as you know, will you have a mixed bag of vaccination status at your table this year, or not?
Yeah, does it matter to you to ask if people are vaccinated, or does it not matter to you? We want to know, chime in as always on our YouTube or Facebook things. That's what we're doing when we look at the phones. We're not ignoring you, I promise. We're checking out your comments.
Let me just give Debbie's first salvo here. Debbie Southworth. She says, no, my family are all vaccinated. Not an issue for her dinner.
That includes extended family, Debbie? Like, how big will your family gathering be? Because that's where it gets, interesting, I guess is one way to put it. Because, same situation in our house now. Even the boys are fully vaccinated, so we're 4 for 4 in that department. But I can't speak to everyone in my extended family. I just haven't been asking them. So if they're coming, then it becomes a question. It is, to some degree, uncomfortable to even talk about this. Like, I think I'm pretty open about certain things, and I'm okay with talking to the three of you at least about certain things. But even this is like, because we're not supposed to judge, but I feel like we are judged. And here's my example. I think there's a certain trust factor amongst the 4 of us, because we're allowed to be in this small space together, whereas not everyone is allowed in the studio still. Only the people that are doing the shows are allowed in the studio, and we're doing it obviously with our masks off, and we're doing it because they know that all of us are fully vaccinated. But we're also assuming that we're not out doing, I guess, like reckless things, like maybe hanging out at crazy parties with a bunch of unvaccinated people and getting all close to them on a Saturday night. So it's like, if I was to do that, I guess, A, I'm being irresponsible to my fellow coworkers, and B, I don't know how comfortable it would be to tell you about it. More the first part. It's like, it's more the first part than the second. But you know what I'm saying? Like, if I find out that there's an aunt that comes...
this through
if I have an aunt that shows up at my house for Thanksgiving, am I going to give them the boot because they're not vaccinated? Because I know, well, geez, I'm not really supposed to be hanging out with unvaccinated people in closed spaces because I work with people all the time really close to them.
Depends on what they're bringing to dinner, I would say.
Well, you can joke about it all you want. Some people take it seriously.
That's very true. But I'm not joking. I want the food.
Yeah. We got invited to pop over to someone's house on Thanksgiving, not to like eat a meal with them, but just come because we're doing our own meal, but just to come by and say hi. And they volunteered the information to me that there was several people that are not vaccinated. They're kind of against the vaccine, which I didn't know, and really didn't even imagine, I guess. I just kind of figured like, oh, well, they're, whatever. But I have a 4-year-old who can't get vaccinated. I mean, she goes to school with all her other 4-year-old friends who are not vaccinated. All of their teachers are, and they, keep the little classrooms separate. But, we went to OMSI, we went to Disney on Ice, like we go places. She comes grocery shopping, and so on one hand I'm like, does it really matter? And we're not there for like the full meal, so I'm like, well, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, in my heart
But I would have never asked. I would have never been like, now is everyone at this place.
Did they just say it in passing, like they were trying to let you know?
She was telling me, just, hey, just so you know, so-and-so, they both had COVID, and they're like, well, they have an antibody test or results or whatever, and I'm like, well, okay, I don't know what that, I'm sure it's good, and I don't know when they had COVID and whatever, it doesn't really matter, but she was nice enough to just give me a heads up.
It's interesting because all my immediate family is vaccinated, but we do have extended family that aren't. And they were really open to discussing, and this was over the summer, so it's not holiday related, but we had a really good conversation with them because they also have children about our concerns, and we kind of wanted to know where they were coming from. And we had a long discussion one evening after everybody else had kind of broken for the night.
Yeah.
So we didn't do it in a hostile way. We didn't do it at the dinner table. We didn't do it in front of their kids. But as adults, we just all talked about it. And we came away just really agreeing to disagree, but still it was respectful, which I appreciated. The thing that was a little tricky is spending time with them over the summer, unvaccinated, up in Washington, and they didn't follow any of the rules. Like, you know, when they had the mandates for various things, I was like, oh, you're not wearing a mask even indoors. I remember, you know, they
Like
said,
out shopping and stuff?
well, we were at a nail salon actually, and
And the salon didn't say anything?
at that point you could go in without a mask.
Oh,
But if you were vaccinated, they ask you. And I was like, oh man. I came back and I was like, psst, psst, to my partner going, I was kind of shocked at the scofflaw attitude of it.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the thing I had the problem with, not the discussion about are you vaccinated or not, just that you're not vaccinated and you won't follow the rules
Yeah.
that are laid out.
yeah. And I think there's a big, you know, that's a big population of people,
Yeah.
you know, and I think that's why I always thought that rule was dumb. It's just like, oh, if you're not vaccinated, wear a mask. It's like, no, those are mostly the people that aren't going to wear a mask because they don't
But
want to, or
And generalizing, of course, because I do know of some people that weren't or aren't vaccinated, as far as I know, to this day, but they never stopped wearing their masks during the summer when it was
good.
when
Yeah.
the period that you're talking about. So some people are following the rules. Valerie Helm says, "I don't care if you're a vaxxer. I don't care if you're a vaxxer. Not bags. You can get it." What now? Right. Okay, read this here.
You should always pick a.
Start again.
Always
I don't care if you're a
You can't
vaxxer.
read.
I'm going to skip a couple words. I don't care if you're a vaxxer. You can get it and transmit it regardless if you have a vaccination, so it's a moot point. And I think, you know, Valerie's point is, there are the what's been called the outlier cases of people that have vaccinated have been getting COVID and transmitting it. Yeah.
yeah, those breakthrough cases.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Eric Williams says, I know this is a hot topic. He says, being vaccinated does not protect you from COVID or protect others from passing it on. I got vaccinated, says Eric, and I still got COVID, ended up in the hospital even. So I struggle to understand that, quote, if you're vaccinated, you can come in and you're safe. I guess his point is that, like, you know, we're making this big deal, like, if you're not vaccinated, stay away. If you're vaccinated, come on in. But in reality, like he's saying, you could still get it even if you are vaccinated or pass it on to others.
Right, but I would just take issue with that first part because it does protect you and it mightily lowers your chances
Right.
of getting sick, hospitalized, or dying. So yes, it does protect you, and there are breakthrough cases. I'm sorry that you ended up in the hospital because that's brutal.
It
right?
is some sort of shield. It may not be an
It's not
impenetrable
yeah, it's
shield,
not
but-
100%. You're
it's a shield.
absolutely right about that.
And my sister talks about this all the time. Like I just talked to her last night, and it's just funny. With COVID, it's the first time I've ever seen my sister really passionate about anything. You know, she's just kind of like straight down the middle, doesn't really have too many opinions on anything. Kind of lives her own life, and you do what you want to do. But she is, you know, as a nurse, she is, you know, adamant about getting the vaccine. And again, not to the point where she's judging people who don't, but she looked at me like one time, like why aren't the boys vaccinated when the kids 11 or pardon me 12 and older could get vaccinated? She's like, oh, did boys get vaccinated? I'm like, oh, not yet. What are you waiting for? I was like, whoa, my sister's judging me a little bit. But yesterday we were talking and she goes, you know, something that cannot be denied. The fact is she's seeing it in her hospital and other hospitals around here are too. We're just not seeing people get as sick if they're vaccinated. If you're vaccinated, yes, you can still get it. Generally speaking, you're not getting as sick from it, right?
Yeah.
And that's been proven time and time again. The majority of the people who at this point are now getting seriously ill from COVID or hospitalized with it are generally not vaccinated. And again, I say that out loud, and I know there are some people who still don't care about that because they don't even believe the numbers. They choose not to, like, oh, those stats aren't even true.
Yeah.
So I can't help you there.
Yeah.
But I'm putting some faith in those stats.
Yeah.
Well, we heard from a a therapist today who said even she has gotten in kind of a heated discussion with some of her own family members about this, and it's not an easy thing to talk about if you choose to talk about it before any get-togethers. But they did say the number one thing is, you know, just like you said you did with, you know, those people, is like, just talk about it. You don't need to judge or blame or shame or anything on either side, you know, for getting the shot or for not getting the shot. But maybe it's best to check in if you want to.
And there will be tables, I'm sure, that are missing people because of vaccination status, one way or the other. And then the phrase that you brought up when you were talking, Brenda, which made me realize, boy, that's an old phrase that I love that seemingly is getting booted out the door.
that?
We agree to disagree.
Oh.
Yes.
There's no shame in that. We
Yeah.
agree to disagree. Just be
Right.
honest with each other, and if you respect each other's opinion, it may impact the final count at the table, but that's okay. This is where we're at.
You know, we're talking about a virus, so it's a little bit different, but I would like to go back to that in general. Like, let's say it's not a health concern. Let's stop talking religion. Let's stop talking politics at the dinner table. Do you remember it was like uncivil? It was, you know, incivility. You didn't do that.
Yeah.
You didn't argue with your neighbors. You really didn't know where your neighbors stood.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, definitely right.
Yes,
Yeah.
you just have
Okay.
a nice meal and say,
Exactly.
are
Talk
you
about-
going on any trips
You know,
lately?
there are tons of things that you can talk about besides those hot
Yes.
button issues that
Yeah.
make people
Yes.
so angry.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Here's an example of what you're talking about. Willie Huey. All my family's vaccinated. My kids just got their first round last week. So vaccine status won't be a topic at all. Here you go, Brenda. We're more likely to talk about my neighbor's house remodel and how ridiculous it looks.
Again, that was Willie Huey, who lives in West Lynn. If you know Willie and you're his neighbor, he's talking about you.
Busted.
That's pretty
Oh,
funny.
boy. Yeah.
I thought I could scroll down and find some more. Yeah, it is interesting. The other thing, like, you know, I mean, I got actually, as a vaccinated individual, it still impacted me on the kind of the reversed end of it, because the summer when I flew home to Philadelphia to see my mom and my stepdad has gone through a lot of different medical issues over the last several years, including battling cancer, which she's, you know, in remission now, but, you know, not the healthiest of 77-year-olds at this point.
Yeah.
And when I told my sister, hey, we're flying out to Philly, just me and the boys, and she's like, where are you staying? I was like, Mom's house. She's like, you can't stay there. So why not? And like, my mom already said, it's cool, you know, come here. She goes, because, you know, we call him Eddie, my stepdad, you know, Eddie's like, you know, with the COVID and the boys aren't vaccinated and you're flying across the country in an airplane and, you know, he's immunocompromised, and are you going to wear a mask in the house? And I was like, well, I guess, but I wasn't going to sleep with one. And she goes, yeah, you can't stay there. You can stay at our house, you can get a hotel, you know. So then it became a thing. Then I called my mom. I was like, Kristen says that I can't stay there. And she's like, sure you can. You know, I was like, oh, God. But anyways, even in that family circle, you know, it was a something.
I have heard other families with exactly that same thing, and the siblings are like, you can't do that to grandma or mom or dad or whatever, and it is a big deal to some people.
And you know what? It's my sister's perspective. I mean, she's on the front lines in a very busy, like in a downtown. Camden, New Jersey is one of the toughest neighborhoods, I'll put it that way. One of the toughest neighborhoods or areas or cities in this country, right outside of Philadelphia on the other side of the bridge. She's in a hospital downtown there. She sees a lot of crazy things. But she's also seen a lot of COVID over the last year and a half. So that's, you know, her perspective is front line. I'm seeing this every day. Don't be stupid.
Was she mad
Her
at you
words.
after staying there?
No, because in fact I did stay at. We did crash there the first night. Like we got there and I was like, I gotta sleep. We had this 9-hour layover in Denver. Didn't go. Then I spent the rest of the time at her house. No, she wasn't mad at me. And we.
Good.
She gave
Good.
her suggestion. I didn't follow it to the T.
Yeah.
We still talk because we love each other.
Nice.
It's your family. What else are people saying? I gotta go back. They're like nice, long,
Yeah, people are chiming
thoughtful
in.
comments.
Yeah.
Angie, I'm going to say, I have never said your last name out loud. I'd like to give it a
Colantino?
stab. Colantino. Thank you, Rod. Angie Colantino chiming in. She says, here's how I look at it. And a question I frequently ask people not wearing a mask. Knowing you could possibly kill someone, would you drink and drive? No, of course you wouldn't. So if you'd possibly kill someone or make them sick, why wouldn't you wear a mask? She's talking about, you know, outdoors and indoors, I would imagine.
Veronica Gaston, good morning to you. She said she did ask where she's going and, you know, wanted to know if the people who are going to be there were fully vaccinated. Brett Redfield says, no, everyone in my family is vaccinated, so that's not a point of conversation for him either.
Who is kind of the conversationalist I mean, does it kind of go round robin with like topics that get brought up at like long dinners like this?
Kind of. I mean, it depends. Ours is going to be pretty small this
Everyone's
year.
like, what have you been up to?
It's like,
and then
it's like totally chill.
Will it just be the four of you?
Yeah, I think my son and his girlfriend will come over or stop by at some point because, you know, you've got multiple families that people are going to. But that's what I love. It is so kicked back this year.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like all the people that are comfortable with each other and we're just, you know, hanging out and eating good food, drinking good wine. And
now, do you
just
get
enjoying.
dressed up for that, or is it like shoes off?
Oh, we always have shoes off in the house.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Take your shoes off, she said. I'm not going to get dressed up for my family. Jeans and probably not
we're
a t-shirt.
casual.
I'll go button-down shirt, not dress shirt.
Untucked or tucked?
Untucked. Man. I do not like to tuck in a shirt.
No.
I do not like to tuck in a shirt. It's just more pain in the neck taking it off at the end of the day.
Are you hosting?
We are hosting. So my mom and dad fly in. They get into town Sunday. They'll be here for about 10 days.
Nice.
So excited to see them. And of course, Grandma and Grandpa Kim live downstairs. Grandpa Kim, by the way, won't be doing anything on Thanksgiving Day, just relaxing.
It's a day of
You'll
rest.
be happy to know. And then my nephew lives here in Portland, and his girlfriend, who we see all the time, and well, not as much as we should. Let me back up. But yeah, so they're coming over. So that's our dinner table. Yeah.
I feel like that would be an interesting household on Thanksgiving Day. Like if you put a camera in there and just let it go, people would tune in to watch what happens in the Hill House on Thanksgiving. A lot of players there.
A lot of players. It's pretty typical. I mean, we'll have you can see the TV from the dinner table, which typically I am the person that says, Natasha, our daughter, please turn off the TV if we're going to have a sit-down dinner. Thanksgiving, I'll make an exception because
It's football,
Daddy's
huh?
watching the football screen.
Absolutely.
Now, is your team playing that day or no?
No, we are not playing.
No, okay. So you don't have to have any anxiety or anything.
Well, it depends on who they're playing. You know, you have teams that you need to lose to help
Yes.
your team out. So it's not that simple.
Susan Decker says we have several chatty Cathys coming, all vaxxed. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice, good.
I remember I was thinking about your situation with you basically have the two grandmoms there at your house, Rod, for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
My niece, I remember this one time, my niece, who's like now 23, this was probably 10 years ago when she was 13. My mom was coming out here, not for Thanksgiving, but some other occasion. And my niece apparently said to her, like, what are you guys going to do when you go to Uncle Drew's? She goes, oh, they got a house down at the beach. We're going to spend some time at the beach. And she goes, oh, really? With like who? And she mentioned that my mother-in-law would be there too. I guess my niece said, oh, the other grandmother will be there too? Awkward. Like just not because she knows my mother-in-law, but just because you're like, I know, grandma's coming together.
Yeah,
Who's
yeah,
going to take premier grandma status?
How was it?
Funny.
My mom's pretty chill. Like, you know, she's just she'll take the back seat in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So it's easy.
Yeah, I mean, my mom, especially the two grandmas, will give each other a big hug. When Grandma Kim will be upstairs to greet my parents when they get there. And,
Yeah, but if you have two
it's
grandmas that are both A+ personalities,
Well,
you know, that could be tough.
Yeah. Joshua Madrid, are you right?
Yes, please.
Good morning. Thanks for bringing up a difficult topic. I believe that for many families, this will be the first holiday season where folks are getting together since this all started. So it's a valid conversation to have, depending on whom you plan to have over to celebrate with. What'll be interesting will be if we see a significant spike after next week. It takes, what, a week, 10 days, something like that for these spikes? Something we're always talking about, yeah. Hoping for the best for everyone. Oh, and Drew, I emailed you this morning
Did you?
as well.
I would say, Joshua, not to come down too hard on you, but you're a little late with that email. We were looking for viewer recipes this week for the
Yeah.
Sunrise
Last
TV
week.
show. Yeah, last week we were looking for them. This week we're showing them, and we do have our 5 viewers already picked, selected. In fact, we've gone to most of their homes already and shot the video.
Tier, Drew
So-
wanted you to email him immediately when he sent that to you.
Yeah,
so
when it
next
didn't
time,
come
Well,
within
we
the
have to
hour of
schedule
when he
these
said
things,
it,
yeah.
he was.
Yeah, you
Joshua, I will tell you that
Yeah.
both Nina and Brenda in the newsroom, like, hey,
Said,
did you
"Just
get a hold of
relax,
Joshua? I'm like, no,
man."
he's going to get a hold of me.
We wanted Joshua.
Did he email you yet? No. Well, why don't you reach out to him? No, I'm not reaching out to Joshua. I'm gonna let Joshua
Said it's
come
only
in.
been an hour and a half, man. Relax. People are busy.
Yeah, they're not on our schedule. So John was asking, what are we cooking on here? I'm going to try a new recipe. And I'm kind of I'm thinking, because we're not huge turkey fans, that we'll do a stuffed pork loin. And I found this. It says it's got some wild rice combined with apples, butternut squash, a little bit of bacon, spinach, sage, and goat cheese.
It's all
Roll
rolled
it
in
up.
there.
Yeah, and then sliced. I think that's what we're going to
Gotta
do.
get some of that twang.
That sounds
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Sounds
Does sound
really
very
good.
And then what? Roasted.
Oh gosh, we'll have
barbecued.
veggies.
But I mean,
no,
it goes in the oven.
these,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, I thought you meant sides.
Can I say one more thing? Because I know we had to wrap this up, but that
Yeah.
just reminds me, we do have a good viewer recipe tomorrow on the Sunrise TV show. If you're inclined to watch us on TV
Oh, yeah,
between
looks
5
great.
a.m. and 7 a.m.,
Yeah.
we have a viewer who's coming on and she's making this cornucopia, this handmade pastry cornucopia.
It's
that-
ridiculous.
It looks like a piece of art.
Yeah.
It's fantastic, and I'm telling you, as intimidating as it may look, it's actually easy to do, and she fills it with all kinds of roasted vegetables. It's like a great little centerpiece to go next to the turkey,
Nice.
perhaps.
Yeah.
Tomorrow on Sunrise, the TV show.
Awesome.
Thank you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.